Welcome to part 1 of Competency 15 practice quiz. In this video, we will work with measures of central tendency using the TI-84. Number 1, which one of the following would be considered as ordinal data? Okay, for ordinal data, well, first off, this is not really a calculator type question, but you do need to know your aspects of ordinal data. And that means we're looking at rank. There is a ranking order, but not a numerical type of ordering. That being said, let's take a look. Here we have some B, we have a numerical exam score. So it can't be numerical. Now, A says performance appraisal rank. Well, there's a key vocabulary word. Okay, let's look at see a color of a crayon in a box for which colors are, well, these are labeling. So we're not looking at labeling things. And this is number of people. Well, it says not number order. So the fact that it says number, that wouldn't be an option. So A would be our only options for that one. Number 2, a person's weight was measured to be 175.12 pounds, which is the lower boundary of the number. Okay, when we're talking boundary, okay, that's not the lower value. It's actually the lower boundary. So we have to go a little less. Okay. So what you do is you look at your 12 and you're really subtracting this. Just write it right here. You're subtracting 5 off that, or a fifth less, or like a nickel less in this situation. So we're really saying 0.005. Okay. So if you were to put that in your calculator, what would you get? Well, of course, if you see here in options A, B, C, and D, we would get 175. But then instead of uh, 12, we're taking 5 less. So really what you have is 0.115. Okay. So that means our option would be A. You kind of have to look at it that way. So if we were looking at a whole number, as we did in the practice, so let's say we were looking at this class values, okay? This class, if they ask you for the lower boundary, not the lesser or lower number, the lower boundary, well, that implies that we would have 22.5. Okay? All right. Okay, that helps kind of understand that. If you weren't watching the other videos, you might want to if you don't understand quite why this happens. Okay, now let's look at number 3. Okay, in a grouped frequency distribution, the lower and upper limits, okay, now lower and upper limits of the first class. Okay, that's what I was saying. This is a limit and this is a limit. It would not be a boundary, okay? But in this case, for number 3, they're saying, well, what is the limit? So they're saying the first one starts at 19, okay? But then uh, it goes to 27. So that's lower and upper. So this implies that you have 9 values in between. Put your fingers up and literally count 19 to 27. It is 9 digits. Well, that being said, you start here and you say 20A, and then you add another 9. That gives you 36. And then from there, we have 37. Now, what were they asking for? They said, what is the lower limit of the third class? Well, we have that. It is 37. And that's correct. Number 4, suppose that a stem and leaf plot is constructed for integers, each of which lies between 1,000 and 9,000. For each number, how many digits lie on the right of the vertical bar? Okay, on the right of the vertical bar, that should always be your ones place. So in this case, you have 3 on the left and you should have 1 on the right. So this one, 3, remember that should be on the left. So D is our option. Okay, so number 5, scoot up all the way. Ms. Robles asked her students to list their heights in inches, after which she developed a histogram. The lower and upper boundaries, now that's key, of the first class are 59.5 and 63.5 respectively. If there were a total of 5 classes, which is the upper limit of the 5th class? That means the highest limit. So we can just write those out. But first off, we were given boundaries and classes. We write them with limits. Okay. So that means we need to go up by half. So we start with 60 minus 63. So we go down a half. Then we go to the next whole value. So that's 64. Now we have class size is 4. So that gives us 67. Okay. You don't add on 4, then that would include the boundaries, and we don't do that. Okay, then the next one is 68. Well, that would go to 71. And then the next class starts at 72, and that ends the limit of 75. Now, on the last one, well, we're on the 5th, that's all they asked for. We start for 76 and we would end at 79. So 79, option B, would be that upper limit of the 5th class. Okay. So now we have number 6. Sherry is an executive at the Zip Financial Corporation. She has been asked to identify the percentage of investors in different age brackets. Okay. Now notice our age brackets, those are classes. And the first one is 15% of the people, then 36% of the people from 35 to 49. Then we have 31% of them are from 50 to 64. Then it just says remaining are from 65 to 79. Okay, well, what do we know what the remaining is? You must have 100% when you're said and done. So this means we need to subtract the numbers we have from 100. So let's just do that. So we know we have to have 100 when we start out. So now we say minus 15 minus 36 minus 31. Okay, push enter. Then we know this last age bracket, that will be 18%. So we know that. So now they say if a pie graph is constructed, how many degrees is the central angle of the investors in the last age bracket, the 65 to 69 age bracket, to the nearest degree? Okay, and that says we have to round some. Okay, so what's going on with that? When they say central angle, remember on a pie graph, angles are, they can be split up. So these are the angles that we need, okay? Regardless of what they are. Well, how do we get that? Well, we know that all the way around our circle, we know that's 360 degrees. So what do we need to do? We will need to say 18, okay, change it to a decimal, 18% of the 360. So that's it. So we say 0.18 times 360 degrees equals 64.8, but they say round to the nearest whole degree, and that gives us 65. Okay. All right, this is the last question in this video. Make sure that you give us a little bit of time and we will post part 2 and part 3 of these practice questions. And don't forget, remember, subscribe to keep the free stuff coming and like us and share us. Happy testing!